And so here we are.
What we have before us is a resolution that Alberta should change its dual school system of public and separate schools to one public school system.
In Alberta and Saskatchewan, separate schools exist because there was a strong desire by Catholics, in particular French Catholics in the Northwest Territories, to protect their language, their culture, and religion through Catholic separate schools. This was in the best of the Canadian tradition, whereby the rights of minorities are respected and protected from what the Supreme Court of Canada has in several cases called the tyranny of the majority.
Separate school education is a denominational right, not a human right. It is therefore a privilege. The original marriage in Canada was not between two languages or two religions. It was between the two cultures. Religion was only important in the context of culture.
One purpose of separate schools is to teach children about their Creator and what is expected of His children.
Is that separate school education represents an entanglement of church and state. I favor the separation of church and state, which is the general direction in which our society is moving.
Consider the support of the Alberta Council of Religious Freedom, which supports Catholic separate schools as it recognizes the power of the state, and this is an important issue, the power of the state in attempting to interfere with Catholic education today can be turned upon them tomorrow.
I do not believe that there is an anti-Catholic institutionalized prejudice in the country today.
In May 2011, Mr. King said that, quote, public education exists to create a particular kind of community, a civil democratic community, and separate school systems don't exist to create and sustain a civil democratic community. They exist to create and sustain a faith community. Apparently, Mr. King does not believe that one can walk and chew gum at the same time.
Doing away with separate school education would not compromise the religious freedom rights in the Charter, and it wouldn't compromise the operation of Section 29, would it?
So one of the things that the Supreme Court has recognized is that whether it's Loyola or whether it's certain other areas, to have freedom of conscience and freedom of religion means you have to have a corporation, a company, or some kind of a society or a group. And we've been fortunate enough in Canada, at least in Alberta, for sure, in Saskatchewan, Ontario, to do that. Sure. We've been fortunate enough to be able to say that we can protect those communities. And one of the critical things with separate schools here is that we're able to protect the Catholic community and now 25, maybe even higher, of non-Catholics who are coming in to share the belief of religious schools. You see, let me give you an example of what's happening in Alberta. A public school district has attached to it an Islamic school. They do in Fort McMurray, they do here. They may have a Christian school as they attach to a public school system. But then the government passes a law, and the law requires that that Christian school or Islamic school has to abide by the law of the province, as it should. But they cannot do so, they can't even fight it if they stay within the public school system, so they have to withdraw from it and go back to being their own particular individual school. We don't have that problem with separate schools, separate Catholic schools, because we have a constitutional protection. This is why my friends in the Sikh community are very concerned. They see us as being the bastion, the protection, whereby we can actually come up against the government and say, well, there's a constitutional right. That's why they say to me, we will help you defend Catholic separate schools constitutionally protected. We don't want to have the state to have the right to say that all religious schools are going to teach this particular thing. We'd like to know that we have some friends within Alberta who are protected from the government. I mean, I appreciate the fact you've been a minister and you've been a part of the government. It's just that I don't particularly trust the government for everything, to make all the decisions. I don't know if anybody else does.
Such rights, those deliverables, have a limited shelf life. They only persist for as long as there is a strong sense that they are vital to the well-being of the Confederation. Our Federation will not flounder when Alberta unifies its two school systems. More significantly, sometimes the majority must protect the rights of a minority, even a minority of one. It is equally true and important that sometimes the majority must end the privilege of a significant minority.
Catholic separate schools, their teachers, administrators, and trustees have the best interests of Alberta's Catholic children in mind and have dedicated their lives to the psychological, the social, the intellectual, the physical, and the spiritual development of every child. They are driven by that objective and motivated by the love of Jesus Christ and his admonition to those who tried to keep children from him when he said, "Suffer little children and forbid them not to come unto me, for of such is the kingdom of heaven." This resolution seeks to solve pedagogical, financial, and social problems which in fact do not exist in Alberta, and the raising of which will simply awaken bigotry, sectarianism, and divide Albertans at a time when now more than ever we must be a community respecting freedom of religion and conscience, and not a society seeking to put all under the monolith of one system claiming one set of values as best, and it's ours. There's only one best way to education, and it's ours. One way for all, our way. We know what's best for you. This is the odious, dangerous 20th century myth, reborn again. We had hoped had been buried long ago, but here it is raising its ugly monolithic head again. Arrogance. I say to you, my friends, and if I may say brothers and sisters, this resolution cannot stand.